It all started last night when I got back from work and one spirit started speaking. That spirit was saying, why not try to bake cake? Hey, I was like, no, don't even go there again. Of course, you know the last cake I baked was a disaster. I don't want to do tragedy anymore. In the spirit's word, never give up. When you fall, you stand and try again. Whether it was an evil spirit or the spirit of God, I don't know. At this point, I couldn't resist this spirit, even my body wanting to make cake. Seriously, the urge to make cake was so heavy in me. It's as if when you want to make out with your partner. Since I couldn't resist it, I quickly dashed into my kitchen. So from the last cake I baked, we had 3 corrections. Which was the flour was too much, the air fryer couldn't help, and I was using the wrong batter. At this point, the body doesn't want cake, but the spirit. So concerning the correction, I already got Rama butter as recommended. Then also did my findings towards appropriate measurements. We are going to be baking the cake in 2 ways: air fryer baking and gas stove baking. Of course, you know that stove baking is the method of converting your stove into an oven. By adding some sand in a pot, heat it off a wire and use it to bake your. And that's why you saw me going outside the gate to get some stones, because I couldn't see. Sand were nowhere to be found in that compound, so I went outside to get some chipping. You know, when I was going outside the gate, my husband thought of what I was going there to see, but when he saw me packing sand, he was like, is this woman running? Although he never said anything to me, but from the look on his face, I already know what was going on. I'm sure he will be like, how did I end up with this kind of woman? For me, I don't care. My own is do you, let me do me. Let everybody mind their business. Let me answer you before you ask. Loretto, don't you have an oven that you're using a gas stove to bake? Number 1 is that I love natural things. Number 2, I play a lot. Number 3, mind your business is my cake. Number 4, I don't see how gas cylinder should be going together with an oven. At least if my gas stove was supposed to be an electric, I could have been using the oven, but this is cylinder. Aside from lighting my matches and cooking, I don't see any other thing I can be doing with that cylinder. I am so scared of it. But if there's another way to use it, or you know how to do it, you can put. Hi guys, Loretto here. Welcome back to another episode of the best cook in the whole world. So today we are baking cake as the spirit leads, not as the menu says. Is today's cake gonna come out nice? We don't know. Just grab your popcorn, sit down quietly and watch. Is Loretto still gonna make cake again? Never. Not after giving it the first and second trial. So let's sit down and watch. Now let's talk about the findings I make towards the accurate measurement when you want to get a very fluffy. The finding says your butter and your flour should be the same measurement, while your sugar should be half of your butter. So I did exactly as the whole thing says, but this time around I'm trying to make a very soft cake. I don't want it to be like rock of age. So I used a 300 gram of butter and 150 gram of sugar. After mixing the whole thing, this is what I got. I made it 2 plates, you know. One is going to be in the oven and one is going to be on the gas stove. Now there is a problem. I don't know who went and added extra oil in my cake. So because I separated the cake into 2, one is on the air fryer while one is on the gas stove, I noticed that the one in the air fryer has a lot of oil. So I decided to recreate the one on the gas stove. At this point, I switched off my gas. So I brought out the one that was on the gas stove. At this point, it was like 20% cooked, but I decided to add more flour since it was too much oil and soft. So I started remixing it, added so many of flour so that it would be like a little bit thick. So after adding the flour, I seasoned with some milk so that I can repake. In this life, we need to be creative. So I thought it's right for me to add yeast. Maybe I will turn it to a bread cake since it's not giving me a bake cake vibe. So after adding the yeast, I gave it a very quick stir. So over to this one I used air fryer to bake. I took some part of it, so I added it to this new bread cake. Already the name has changed from cake to bread cake. You don't even want to know the way I want to use this cake as lunch the next day. At this point, I was still hoping on the cake that it would come out nice, so I put it back in the pan and put it in the air fryer to start baking. At some point, I started advising myself, Loretto, is it not better for you to put all this money you're using? I've just come to the conclusion of putting all this money together, go to Pick and Pay and buy myself a very nice birthday cake. So with the heart full of disappointment, I abandoned the cake in the air fryer overnight, waking up the next morning to trash it in this plastic and bought myself another lunch at work. See you in my next video. Bye.